Hi, my name is David, and I'd like to talk to you about the class project we were assigned, the psychosocial aspects of mob mentality and the application or the contrast along with biblical anecdotal stories. In the Stanford project, there was a discussion in the video talking about the mob mentality. It seemed there was a very strong mentality. It focused primarily on the establishment of identity and the separation of concept between good and evil. Each of the guards spoke about trying to fulfill their role and how they wanted to take their role to the next level. The one guard in particular spoke about getting into character and doing what he thought his character should do. And as such, the prisoners struck out with the intent to gain control and identity of who they were. And it was very obvious that the professor in this was kind of sat back and almost from a position of control, subjugated over the class of each of them, and instructed or gave his influence. In a comparison, I found an interesting anecdotal story in the Bible relevant to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Luke 23:13 through 25 talks about how Christ came before Pilate, and how Pilate, wanting to maintain control over his people and show his authoritative position, offered the people the opportunity to keep Christ, or to release Christ, or to release Barabbas. And as such, he found that Christ was innocent of any wrongdoing, and Barabbas was clearly guilty of murder. And there was no question of that; it had been documented. And so Pilate gave the opportunity again, as the professor in the Stanford case gave the opportunity to allow those that he was control over the opportunity to develop their own identities and to make decisions of themselves. And as such, the people chose crucifixion. They chose to crucify Christ. And in so doing, I find that they were exercising their need for identity. That who is this man to call himself the Son of Jesus? I'm sorry, the Son of God, and that they wanted to have the decision because it was their influence, and that they are as equal as him. He was he, but a man. This mob mentality also was a direct correlation between good and evil. Jesus represented good, and Barabbas represented evil. In fact, there's actually some controversy as to whether or not that Jesus was one and Barabbas was one and the same. Each of them taking on different roles. It is very matter-of-factly that this mob influence truly in both examples, in the Stanford case as well as in the Bible, were very influential in the decisions that were being made. And specifically, what it comes right down to is that good people do bad things. When good people are placed in a position of temptation, no matter how strong they are, they will, in fact, do bad things. There's no way around it. It takes a good, strong set of moral values and a true belief in one's faith. This is classic examples of this is Abu Ghraib, the Martin Luther riots. We can just go through time and time, finding when good people were drawn into bad situations, and as a result, the mob mentality drew them into an exchange or into decisions that were not of the norm. Whether Pilate or the professor in the Stanford case had exercised prudent control really remains a kind of a state of controversy. But what it ultimately comes down to, and we see this whether we're talking about military leaders, presidents, or kings of country, being a leader is not an easy task. It requires doing the right thing, even when the right thing is not the popular thing. It requires a good set of strong moral values. I think if either of these had exercised some prudent-minded uh, values and stepped back from the situation and reflected on it, it could have possibly been a different outcome.